Welcome back to the SteadyTrade Podcast, everyone. Got a really cool topic, something that's right in my wheelhouse. Matt presented this one to me, and I was like, thumbs up, baby. So it's really kind of a combination of two things that I'm sure a lot of you know. I'm very bullish on, big believer, and the topic is, I'll actually just read what Matt put at the top of the notes because I love it. How AI will drastically change the $8 trillion healthcare industry. Okay, so what I love about that is AI is in there, and we're also talking about a massive amount of money, which when you're talking a lot of money, that moves stocks. It moves penny stocks for day trades, it moves swing trades, it moves investments. So I always get excited when you see something like that with not just, technology behind it, but also the money behind it, because that's what ultimately moves the stocks. Now, the reason I'm so excited about this is many of you know I talk about a lot on the webinars and on the podcast, and actually Matt too. We're both, I would call, middle of the road biohackers. Like we're not crazy like a Peter Diamandis or a Ray Kurzweil taking 500 pills a day, trying to live to 200. But, we do take a lot of things that, like if you go to your doc, okay, your primary care healthcare official or whatever it's called, they would be like, what's this? Never heard of this, never heard of this. And, I've seen massive benefits. Actually, Matt, you'll probably talk about it, but I started this a little over a year ago, and my blood work was decent, not terrible, decent. But in this last year, like my blood work is perfect, like literally perfect across the board. And it's all doing things that I know if I went to my primary care provider, they'd be like, what's this? I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this. Peptides, all this stuff. So that's what I get excited about because, I look at, you just go to the mall or go to a ball game or something. And man, there's a lot of people that are just really struggling. And I think a lot of people have bad advice and a lot of it. And, and that's what gets me excited about AI is getting us the real information. So that being said, welcome back, my buddy, Matt McCall.
Yeah. Great to be here. Yeah, I mean, I think you and I are probably, there's not many of us out there, I don't think, that are this passionate about a combination of our health, technology, AI, big numbers, $8 trillion, and just, making money off it too. Not only, we could spend money on cars and nonsense, but if you don't have your health, it doesn't matter. You have to have your health, right?
Hey, it's the same reason I drive Toyotas, man. They run forever. I want to run forever too.
Exactly. It's just practical, right? Like you could have a garage full of Toyotas, but you can't drive them if you can't get up. It doesn't matter. So, and I always find it fascinating that people say, well, I can't afford that. Well, take all the money you spend on the nonsense and you can afford it, and you're going to live a lot longer doing it. And you talk about people going to ball games and seeing people that are struggling, and we all know it's not, this is a hidden topic, but obesity is a major issue, especially in the United States. I mean, it's a major issue.
To be honest, I consider it a national security issue. Like that might sound hyperbolic, but you look at like footage. I mean, you're overseas right now, okay? Yeah. I'm sure you see a stark difference, okay? Gosh. Like I look at being the world's currently, we'll see if we are next week, but currently the world's superpower. And I think I literally, and again, you might say, oh, Tim, you're overreacting. But I look at the way the average American has changed over, my lifetime, and I consider it literally a national security risk at this point.
I mean, if you combine that with low birth rates, right, that's where it's a problem, because you have low birth rates and you have people, unfortunately, with obesity, which leads to every of the big killers, heart disease, diabetes, et cetera, right? It leads to all the killers. So, I mean, and the amount of people, I don't remember the number, but I know it's outlandish. The amount of people that are pre-diabetic in the United States, of the adults, it's a huge percentage. It's like something like 15% of adults are pre-diabetic. On top of people already diabetic. That's insane to me. And that's not born with it. That's your lifestyle that's changing. And, you're talking about the supplements. I take my supplements to do my things. Tougher over here because I can't pack everything. But I will tell you, you look around here, I'm in Madrid right now. I was in Lisbon before. I'm in Madrid. Everybody walks. Yep. I'm doing 15, 20,000 steps a day, walking to a cafe, walking here, eating well. I just had a hunk of cheese. I'm drinking red wine right now from the Douro region. Like this is a supplement too. I mean, every blue zone drinks a little bit of wine a night. I'm not drinking a whole bottle, but I have a couple of glasses. It's just about thinking about your body. Whatever goes in your body is going to be your body. So think about what you put in it. So not to get off on a rant here, but the AI number, I think that 8 trillion number, which, we talk about, we're in the newsletter business, so we talk a lot about huge numbers, right?
Yep.
We mentioned, 30 trillion here, 20 trillion there. This 8 trillion number to me is a little different because there's no debating it. The healthcare industry worldwide is an $8 trillion industry.
Right.
So when AI gets involved in this, machine learning, everything else gets involved, it's going into a $8 trillion industry today. So even if it takes a small percentage, it's a couple $1 trillion.
Right.
And that, to me, like you mentioned in the open, that's investment opportunity. That money sloshing around somewhere. We need to find the companies that are going to be taking advantage of all this money sloshing around and change in healthcare. And that, you may disagree with me, but there's 2 industries that I think that really, probably more than two that really haven't changed a lot in the last several decades. We talked about transportation, I think, in a couple shows ago, where you still fill up your gas tank the same way you did 70, 80 years ago. And obviously cars have changed, but you're still filling it up.
Yep.
And you look at healthcare, you're still going to the doctor almost the same way. I think probably in the 50s and 60s, we weren't born then, but in the 50s and 60s, when you went to the doctor, it was probably a better experience. They actually took care of you and sat down. They didn't have the same blood work we had now and same diagnostic work, but they still looked at you. Now it's like, you mentioned your blood work. If you went to just a normal doctor, went to your healthcare website, picked a doctor, they look at like probably 5 things. If you pass those, you're fine. They don't look at the other 500 markers in there. And that's a big deal. But with AI, now the average schmuck who's a doctor who passed med school, AI is doing it for them and catching all this stuff, which is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, and that's what, I'm sure your doc is probably the same. I was blown away when I first went to them and got my blood work done. I go in to get it done, and there's 18 vials there. I'm like, holy crap. But then I get the report, and it's 30 pages long.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing was, I just had a couple things that were, out of whack. But those were things that, my doctor, I do my yearly physical. He never even looked at that because it wasn't in the blood work. And these were all easy things to fix. But, that's what gets me scared. When I see technology, that's what gets me excited, because I'm like, this is something that my doctor, and he's a great guy, I love him, but he just wouldn't have even known about. And that's where I think of the learning abilities of AI, because now it can make these connections that humans might take years or decades to make.
And what's happening now, I think, is the reason it's happening now versus 5 or 10 years ago is, Diamandis talks about this all the time, convergence of technologies. We have AI converging with genomics and other healthcare breakthroughs, protein molecules, looking at that, all coming together at once, which gives us this amazing time in life when it comes to the healthcare industry. And I don't think, I'm not a doctor, I'm not medically trained by any means. I read a lot, but that's about it. I don't know where it's going to be. All I know is that 10 years from now, when the average person goes to a doctor, it's going to be much different. It might be something that you and I are doing now that we pay for, but it's going to be very different.
And that's what's exciting to me is to me, it would just be so cool to be able to go to I don't know where I go, biolabs or whatever, just get a blood test, pay a fee, and then just have some AI analyze this thing in 3 freaking seconds and be like, okay, this is what you need. This is what you need to change. And because we're all really busy, I don't like going, the doctors, that's an all day deal. By the time you drive there, you wait in the waiting room, you do it all. How cool would it be to just be able to do your own diagnostic testing and have an AI analyze it, and you would have the report in literally seconds, probably, maybe minutes or something.
And I think eventually, we're not going to get really into this too much today, but the wearables are going to be, a huge game changer. I mean, Apple kind of gave up a little bit on their health initiative because of the FDA approvals. I think it's too much for them. But there's a lot of other companies they're working with that are doing that. They have, what's it, iRhythm, I think. We can wear the EKG. It's a little sticker you put here, and it tracks it. It shoots your watch, and that information they can get to your doctor, and it can track. And okay, that's not AFib. It's just your heart doing certain things. I did it for a day because I had things a couple years ago. My heart was puttering. I think it's fine. Stress, caffeine, nonsense, nicotine, everything. But yeah, there's so many things that are going to change. I'd be the first guy, honestly, Tim, to put a chip in my wrist or my neck or somewhere, and you can't see, and it's tracking it. And that shit goes right to my doctor or to my phone or my computer.
That's where we differ.
I know you're about security and everything. I know.
Now, listen. I would fully say I can see myself reversing on that. But when it comes to and I have all kinds of. I've had Fitbits for years. I got an Apple Watch. I have a Whoop. I got all this stuff.
Yep.
But when it comes to actually putting it in my body, I'm not there yet. but we'll probably do a podcast a year from now. I'll be like, hey, Matt, check out my chip.
Exactly. I for a guy like me, I'm a full-blown hypochondriac. Like some people don't go to a doctor. I call my concierge doctor all the time. He's like, you're fine, chill, relax. Like I do it, but it's almost better to be that way sometimes than not do it. However, yeah, it'd probably be the worst thing for me because I'd be checking that shit every hour to see how my heart's doing, how my glucose level is and everything else. But so AI obviously is going to change a lot of things when it comes to healthcare. We talked about the wearable, that type of stuff, the tracking of patients. But I think the biggest thing that we'll see in a near term, Tim, I think all this stuff's going to change in the long term. But near term, we're seeing it now, is AI and drug discovery.
Yep.
Because we all know that it takes about a decade to start creating a treatment or drug and then get it through all FDA approvals, about 10 years. Usually over $1 billion to get a potential drug through trials get approved by the FDA. Obviously, this is timely, it's costly, and there's a big if the drug is even approved. You can get to phase 3 and not be approved and waste hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it depends on where you look at the stats. Only about 10% of treatments that start get approved. So you got a 1 in 10 chance. Those are not good odds. I mean, that's not good odds for something. That's why you see a lot of these junior biotech companies. Yeah, you can buy them at $1, they can go to 500. And it could easily be a 500x, but it can go to 0 very easily too, because you're always raising money and it doesn't get approved. So it's very, very risky. I love those small biotechs, but I think AI is the perfect technology for that because you're taking all this data, right? It's just data. Drug approval is data, taking data from trials and seeing it. But if we can do that and get through it much faster, then you think about the aspect of it, not just the data, but then we have all the data we've taken from past trials that are similar drugs. Okay, how does this work? And then you're kind of just, you're testing in humans. At some point, you're just machine testing it. It's not going to humans because you have all this information there, which I think is going to just change the world. And, I'm not one, you're probably like me, not one to take drugs. Like I hate taking,
a load of supplements, but I don't have any.
I've had a horrible back and I've had to take muscle relaxers recently, ibuprofen 800. I hate taking that stuff. It's not good for your liver or anything, but when you're in pain, you have to. And I do for certain times. But there will be drugs that will not only be for certain ailments, but eventually, and we kind of have them now, but not really, drugs that would be built around your genetics. This is where convergence comes in. So if you go somewhere and you have an ailment that would just make up ailment X, okay, you're 48 years old, you're a white male, you're in good shape, you get this drug. No, that's not how it should be. How's my body going to react to it? And that's where the genomics comes into. When you marry genomics with AI, my God, you're basically creating a compound that's built for you to fight X disease.
And that's
the future.
I get so excited. Yeah. Now all of this stuff could, be catered specifically to you. It's not just, okay, we're going to give this drug to 100 million people. We're going to give variants depending on your age, sex, race, your genome, basically.
And this sector I've invested in on and off for several years, and we talked before the show. I've had a couple that have done very well, making me money. I've had some that have done extremely bad, and I think we're in the phase right now. Any new innovation, breakthrough, megatrend, whatever you call it, AI is one of them. You have that hype in the beginning, right? Where everybody's like, it's a new thing, and the stocks go bananas. And then all of a sudden, you feel people start thinking, well, too much too fast, and it comes down. And it goes down for maybe months or maybe years until it kind of comes to fruition, and they realize, okay, long-term, we're greatly underestimating how this will change the world. I think that's where we are with AI and biotech now, and drug discovery. I think we're at the bottom level. So a lot of these stocks are kind of at the bottom, and I think we're just, I don't know if it's next month or next year. It could be a while, Tim. These are long-term plays we're going to talk about. But there's going to be a time where some of these companies will change the world. And I don't know which ones they are. I'll mention a couple in a minute, but I think we're in that phase now where you want to start thinking about it, maybe putting a little bit of money here and there away, not too much, but I think we're there.
And listen, back to my excitement on this, something we've talked about on previous podcasts, like with self-driving cars and stuff. And I've always been a technology guy. I've told that story a million times, but you think about self-driving cars versus human driving cars. I think I said it on one of our podcasts. If I'm going to get run over, I'd rather get run over by AI than some guy that's drunk and arguing with his wife. Okay.
Yeah.
And, you think about human motivations, et cetera, and humans are pretty good at doing amazing things, but also screwing stuff up. And that's what excites me about AI taking over this, because now, it's just analytical power versus the motivations of a scientist, whether they're pushing climate change or whatever, or trying to line their pockets. So now it might be, some might say Pollyanna. Okay, I would take that. But I trust in AI more than I do a group of, sketchy executives at some company that just want to get rich. And same with the self-driving car versus the drunk guy. And who knows, maybe I'll be wrong, and we'll all take these drugs and they'll kill us all, and the AI will take over. It'll be Terminator. But I just simply think of like technology as just way better than unfortunately flawed humans. But that's what makes it great as well.
And so, but there's going to be, bumps in the road when it comes to AI drug discovery. There's going to be bumps in the road with self-driving cars. The first time a self-driving car, when they come more masses, let's say a year or two from now, kills a family.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. There's going to be an accident. It's going to be
the
headlines everywhere.
It causes like a pile up on the freeway.
Yeah,
you want to talk about 24/7 news coverage. Like if it's I drive to Chicago and it's known for those like 100-car pileups.
Yep.
The first time a self-driving car causes that. Oh my! Get ready for 24/7 coverage for 6 months.
And they're gonna try to destroy technology. Meanwhile, in the last 24 hours, when that does happen, they don't mention the probably 20 people drunk who texting and killed somebody. They don't talk about that. And that's negative to say, but it's true. There's too many people out there causing. We talked about this before. Most accidents, over 90%, are caused by human error.
Yeah,
it's statistic. It's not me making this bullshit up. This is real. We cause the accidents. Don't get me wrong. When I drove from Lisbon to Madrid a couple of days ago, that's a pretty boring drive. Like, it's some nice thing, but every once in a while I see a castle. Outside of that, it's just freaking farmland. I'm checking my phone, checking stocks on the way. Like, I'm doing it. Like, it's horrible, but I'm doing it. It's so bad. So
I always hate to admit it, but I do it all the time too.
I know it's horrible, but it's done, and people are doing it. So anyway, I think we'll talk about some AI drug discovery stocks here. And I think bigger picture, just to give you an idea of kind of why I like them here. I think biotech itself, we talked about this in the past, how it's just beaten down. And I think biotech itself is just a great opportunity right now. I'm not a huge fan of ETFs, but there are certain times I like them. I don't like biotech ETFs, but if you look at them, if you're a conservative person and you have a 401k, you want some exposure, you're not picking single biotech stocks. It's too tough.
Right.
Having some exposure to biotech, though, I think right now and maybe kind of dollar cost averaging in over the next year is going to be a great long-term investment personally, because interest rates will come down. That is going to help them without a bit. I also think we're going to see a lot more biotech funding coming in next year. Again, with interest rates going lower, we're also going to see a lot of M&A because a lot of these large pharmaceuticals don't have the pipelines. They just don't have it. A lot of small ones do. So you're going to see a lot of these smaller companies being bought up. So I think there's great opportunity when it comes to penny biotech stocks under $10, small caps. So I think that there's great opportunity there.
Yeah, and we talked about that on a previous episode. Like the last 6 months, like normally in penny stock land, we're like 80-90% biotechs. Like it's always biotechs every day. Last 6 months, man, we've had like 2 big running penny stock biotechs. So I'm excited. Like to me, there's pent up demand, and once it comes back, it's going to come raring back.
That's the thing too. You can sit back and wait. Most people and the mainstream media and the CNBCs of the world, they're not going to start talking about these biotechs until they're up 100% from the lows. It's just how it works. We all know that.
Yep.
So I'll throw out the first one, and these are in no specific order, no recommendations at all. I'm just talking about the couple of the more well-known AI drug discovery companies. First one is probably most well-known is Recursion Pharmaceuticals, symbols RXRX.
Yep, this has been a favorite of mine many times. This is a very day trade friendly stock. Like when they drop news, we're all over it. That's what we, for those of you in the day, we call them a former runner. Like when this thing drops news, we're like, hey, RXX is back. So,
I mean, if we go back just a year, I mean, the stock went from 5 to 16, back to 5 to 14, back to 9 to 15, and now it's back to 7. So, I mean, it's had a lot of ups and downs moves along the way. But, small cap company, obviously $1.7 billion market cap. It got in the news really last year because NVIDIA made a smallish type investment in it. They have about 3.4% stake, so about own 3.4% of Recursion. Just recently, June 24th, the CEO of Recursion was on stage with NVIDIA's CEO. So that tells you a little bit about the trend. Yeah.
Okay.
Tells you a little bit about it. So they're one of the largest institutional holders. The largest institutional holders actually are ARK Investment. Kathy Wood and her funds are the largest. They own almost 11% of the company. And you can say what you want about Kathy Wood. She has had a horrible track record as of late, and I give it to her. And I don't believe in all of her companies, but this is one I do believe in.
Yep.
And what I like about this company is it's a make or break right now for them in the near term. In the next 18 months, they expect 7 clinical readouts. So different clinical readouts to the FDA. 4 of them are phase 2 data sets, which means they're getting pretty far along at that point. They're not just kind of pie in the sky anymore. But they have a couple of these drugs that I think could be approved at some point, and huge, huge upside. They have, not only NVIDIA, Tim, they also work with Bayer. They have Recursion. It's called LOWE, LOWE, all uppercase. Large language model orchestrated workflow engine. Doesn't mean much, but what they do is they pair that together with their oncology, so cancer drugs. This company is the fastest supercomputer in biopharma called the BioHype 2. So this is definitely one of the kind of pure plays. I'll kind of put the caveat over this is they're losing money. They're not making money. They have revenue, but revenue is expected to go from $44 million in 2023 to $151 million in 2026. Still not a lot compared to $1.7 billion market cap. They're still losing money, but this is a company that you do need to keep an eye on. And the fact that NVIDIA put some money into it tells me something too. NVIDIA's not investing in a ton of publicly traded companies. So, and if you're putting a CEO on stage with you, right, that's big.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because and that's what I love about Matt's deep dives. Like, I did not know that even though I day traded this stock many times, now I'm much more interested because when, follow the money, as they say, but especially NVIDIA, and everyone knows what a big bull of NVIDIA I am. That's interesting. So, and
the stock got hit at the last week in June. It fell from around $9.50 down to $7, around $7.50 right now. They did a secondary offering, which you'll see a lot of these companies when they pop. They do secondary offering basically means they're selling shares, they're bringing more money, and they're selling shares at a higher price, obviously bringing more money. That is typical of any small cap company, especially biotechs that need cash. If you're losing money, you need cash. Why not sell shares higher? Stock gets crushed, goes sideways for a little while, and then comes back. It doesn't change their business model. Their business model and their long-term outlooks remains the same.
Well, a lot of times, especially for us in short-term trading, we kind of like that because the nice thing is, they raised cash. So number one, two things. Number one, now they got money. They're not going to close the doors tomorrow. And number two, the likelihood of another dilution is much lower. So now, if they start getting the hype, now as always, there's always risk in the market. There's been biotechs that do another dilution a week later, but at least you have that confidence that, hey, they diluted last week. It's extremely unlikely they're going to dilute again. So,
yeah, and it's about when it comes to biotechs, it costs, like we just mentioned, it costs a lot of money, right? It costs a lot of money. What I like is the NVIDIA's in there. They have the partnership with Bayer. So if any of these drugs in the partnerships too, they get huge royalties paid out on top of that. So there's potential for big money to come in. Again, I don't know where this ends up. Very, very risky play. But something, it is really the leader right now if you're looking at it, where it's at. Another one that I actually made money on in the past and has fallen since then is Schrodinger. Is kind of well known too. Same size, $1.5 billion market cap. SDGR is a company. Again, also losing money. Revenue last year, $216 million, so a little bit better. Expecting almost $340 million in 2 years from now. They have a computational platform, and it's all physics-based. And then to try to find better drug targets, like what drugs to target, which is kind of cool. They license software to other big pharma companies as well, similar. So they're working with the big ones. They also, which is kind of different with this company, is, Recursion has it, but they have a lot of their own pipeline. So they're using their software and their AI on their own pipeline along with collaborations, which is really, really a nice kind of a mix of the two. So they got a bunch of drugs in the pipeline right now. So we'll see what happens there. But again, these companies, the charts don't look like they do like NVIDIA or Meta or anything else out there right now. They've been kind of going sideways, bouncing off lows. But again, these are the types of companies, Tim, that it could, if it's a $4.5 billion company, still small.
Sure.
It's a 3X from here. And that's the thing. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and that's one, again, SDGR, not one I've ever traded before. RXRX, yes, but Again, I love these guys that are using the tech as a nerd.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's again, I think, I was going to say this at the end, but let's say it now. If you said to yourself, listen, I'm going to take a small portion of my portfolio, whatever you're comfortable with, again, no advice, you have a small portion portfolio into AI drug discovery companies, say it's 5,000, making a number up, you buy 5,000 each because you don't know which one's going to make it, if anyone's going to make it. I did this way back in the day with CRISPR technology. Bought a bunch, CRISPR, Intellia, all those, just split it up because you didn't know. I knew CRISPR was going to be approved, and CRISPR did get approved eventually, but you didn't know which company would be approved first. Maybe they all get approved. But if you all you need is one, because if we're right on the big trend here, one's going to go up 10 to 20x. The rest go to zero. You still make a boatload of money.
Or
and that's what it comes down to.
Or they just go nowhere, which happens.
Or nowhere.
So now you get that one huge win, and then your other ones, just like you either wait or you just ditch them for whatever because they just never, you reached your point where you're like bored with them or whatever.
Exactly. Another one is a smaller Abceller, ABCL, $800 million market cap. So this is a tiny company. It's gotten crushed, losing money, not big revenue yet. I'll tell you again, no recommendation. We're just putting out companies that are big in the sector
today, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying anything at all about to go buy this. I don't own it. I'm not planning on buying it, but putting it out there that it is one of the leaders in the area. They work on metabolic and endocrine diseases, first-in-class treatment. They have a couple investigational new drug applications that have been submitted early next year. They expect to submit those. And one of them is for atopic dermatitis, which is a $17 billion opportunity by 2032, according to KeyBank. They work with Eli Lilly. They did work with Eli Lilly on the monoclonal antibody that they use to treat COVID-19. They have relationships with Incyte, Biogen, Prelude Therapeutics. So they got some good partnerships. But again, they could run out of money, go to zero. I don't know because the chart doesn't look good. And I'm never buying a stock hitting a 5-year low. I don't care what the hell I think about it. I'm never buying that.
Yeah, and keep in mind to the listeners, like these are the ones, like especially like that one is, I'm a big fan of like price alerts and news alerts. Like don't try and guess bottoms, as we say. Wait for this thing to wake up, and when your price alerts start popping off and you start seeing news items hitting, that's when you look to enter, not when they're just trickling lower. So
I'll throw one more at you. It's Relay Therapeutics, RLAY. Again, this is one that's been crushed as of late, trading near an all-time low. It's only been around a few years. They're focused on proteins, but proteins is a really big thing when it comes to genetics and oncology and AI and using that. They have a platform they call it Dynamo. They've been able to reduce the time it takes for drug candidates, which they're really doing it. But it's a great example. It took 18 months for one of their targets. It's RLY4008. It means nothing, but it's for the treatment of bile duct cancer. And compared to the industry average timeline of 3 to 5 years, it was able to do it in 18 months. So there is some backing that, it's there. I think we're early here, Tim, honestly. I think we are early when it comes to this.
Well, and that's the whole point of the episode. Like this
exactly.
Stuff, like all of you, like what we, Matt and I are both kind of like, I don't know if I'd call us full futurists, but we're kind of leaning that way. And like that's the idea, is because we want to tell you about this, so that like you don't hear, by the time you hear about it, quote unquote mainstream, all the opportunities are going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean it's again, these are small companies. These are flyers. I mean, these aren't something that you put your nest egg in by any means. But just we're here to educate too, right? We need to educate people on this stuff because this is something that's going to be real. And I think we need to definitely put this stuff in front of people and let them know that this is the future. I'm not saying buy here. And, for your newsletters, when the news hits for the penny stocks, you'll be there, right? To help.
Well, I like RLAY because less than 100 million float. So I'm, again, this, the listener might not, but like when we look at these day trades and short-term trades, we love the stocks, small market caps and the small float. Because like we've got a biotech today, VRPX, it's traded almost 100 million shares today, and it's just churning through the float. And when that happens, that's when you see those epic day trades. So I'm adding RLAY to my watch because of the fact that it is sub 100 million float, because those are the ones, especially short-term, that become the huge runners, because back to supply and demand dynamics.
And, it's sitting on a triple bottom down here, too, in near term. It hit this level in October, hit it in April, May. kind of in June. We're down here again around that $6. It is a level that if it breaks that, I'm really concerned, but it is at a level down there where potentially it could bounce. Again, I'm not saying buy this, but it's something I think we should keep an eye on. And there's other ones out there too. And just so you know, like Tim will look at that, and for my subscribers, I'll look at the long term. When I feel like it's time to get in, we'll send alerts to our subscribers and say, hey, listen, I feel like we're at a time where we can start legging in little by little. We're not going all in, pushing money in, and it's going all in like you do in poker, making a small bet on it and moving forward. But yeah, I just think there's no denying that this is the future. There's no way you can deny that. Well, that was
kind of my closing question for you. I mean, are you like this is one when you hit me with this topic, I was like, man, I love this. Like, are you as bullish like AI, saving the human race as I am? Like I just look at, I go back to like you go to the ball game and man, you're just looking around at 20,000 people and there's like 19,000 unhealthy people. And it's not good. It's not good where we're at right now. But I just think that this stuff could massively improve the life of everybody. And as we mentioned, a few weeks ago on that, that GLP episode, like I just get excited by like a quote unquote golden age. Like if everybody, it feels better, has more energy, like where could America be in a few years? So like, are you as bullish as I am?
Yeah, I mean, and you go back, read history and look back 100, 200 years ago, and one of the biggest game changers in healthcare was the fact that the doctors and medical personnel would wash their hands. One of the biggest reasons that people died was bacteria, because doctors wouldn't wash their freaking hands.
They actually thought it was bad. They thought like the soap would be bad. Yeah.
Yes. And it's just like little things like this that at the time people thought were nuts, right? It's crazy. People think AI is crazy, but in 20 or 30 years from now, you're not going to have a doctor appointment where AI is not looking through everything. I mean, it's going to analyze everything. And this is one sector. I mean, AI, we've talked about a lot. Sure. It's going to affect everything you do in life. I mean, it's going to affect it is already today, but it's really going to affect everything. So again, I think a lot of these topics we're going to talk about today, tomorrow, next month, next year, next several years we do this show, we're going to be way ahead of our time. But the goal here is to present them to you and let you do your own research on the side as well. And then from a short-term standpoint, Tim will be there when they move, because these stocks will move daily on news. Oh, yeah. And when it becomes long-term opportunities, I'll be there for you to initiate long-term opportunities in these stocks. But I think it's something we can't ignore. Just because we are not experts and can't really fathom it, we can't ignore it. And we're going to be here for you doing research and helping you try to find them. Perfect. So that being said, my friends, drop us a comment. Are you as bullish, AI and healthcare as we are? Thank you as always, Matt, my man. Enjoy your trip in Europe. And everyone, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think of AI and healthcare. And we'll see you on the next episode of the SteadyTrade Podcast.